Welcome back, YouTube. Thought I'd bring you an update on the Gamo Whisper Wildcat 177 pellet gun here. The ones that saw the video last year when I first got the rifle, well, it was this year back in February. When I first got it, I was having trouble trying to get it to shoot a grouping. And I'd ordered many different types of pellets, and I would get it set in, and then I would notice after I'd get it set in and shoot, I'd try to shoot a 5-shot grouping, then it would start all of a sudden shooting off again. Then I would check. Well, if you remember, these rings here where the bolts go in these scope rings was getting loose every time. The scope would slide back. I'd retighten them, shoot 6 or 7 shots, they would get loose again. I'd have to retighten. I didn't want to tighten them to the point of breaking them, but I'd got them on there, and with the pellets that it was shooting the best grouping with, if you'll remember, I shot it and was hitting in the dime circle with it at 20 yards, within the size of a dime at 20 yards. So I got back out here. This is during the summer. This is over in July, the end of July, July the 30th. So I got out here this morning shooting it before it got too awful hot. And what I noticed this morning is instead of shooting within that dime circle, it's shooting up high. But it's still, now that's about 4 different types of pellets there, but the 3 in the center up there that's holding that grouping, that's still the Gamo Hunter pellets. So they still holding the grouping, and they're still straight in line, but they're shooting real high. And what I'm wondering now, I don't know if anybody's ever did a test on it or not, is it the difference in the weather, going from cold weather to this hot weather in the summertime that is real humid, and the air is real thick here in South Carolina this time of the year when humidity gets up, or thin, I'm not sure which, but anyhow, it's shooting high, but it's still shooting on line with it, shooting all of the pellets high now. But I believe it's got something to do with the weather, going from the cold time of the weather. And as you know, these work on this is the IGT, works on the gas piston. And I'm wondering what it's doing. You know, when steel gets hot, it expands. So I'm wondering if it ain't expanding and allowing that piston to create just a little more pressure to push that pellet a little faster, or is it the air? I mean, I'm not sure. That's just a question, but anyhow, it's still shooting straight in line, but what I'm gonna do here directly, I'm gonna shoot below it and see if we can get a little closer to the target. I'm just out here just messing around, just practicing. But when I was trying to get this thing set in, a few things that I'd caught on to start with, I was trying to hold down on the barrel like I do my high-powered rifle. I'd lay my hand up and just kind of press down on it some. Well, you can't do that with these gas piston, spring recoiled or piston type pellet guns. They don't like, you can't do that. They won't shoot true. You'll shoot one place one time, one place another if you try to hold with a tight grip. So you just want to lay it upon your hand in what they call the artillery hole to shoot it, or let it rest on something like this. But they recommend you don't do that, that you let it rest on your hand. Another thing is your grip. Back here, when you're gripping it to pull the trigger, you don't want to hold it tight. You want to hold just a loose hold. You just want to work the trigger. On your butt pad, you don't want to hold it tight against your shoulder. This gun does not like to be held down. It don't like to be held tight. You want to just rest it against your shoulder. You want to let the gun do all of the work. You're not wanting to try to hold it, control it or anything. You just want to have it on the target and let the gun work itself. Because this gas piston, it's slamming forward to push that air. And when it comes to hit stop, the pellet hasn't even left the barrel yet. So your barrel is shaking and moving before that pellet is leaving the barrel. So if you try to hold it tight, you can shoot a different place every time because that barrel is going to be in a different position. But if you let it rest, then every time, then that barrel is pretty much going to be in that same position by the time the pellet exits the barrel, at the same place as that barrel moves. It's not like shooting a centerfire rifle or anything. The piston rams forward, the barrel shakes. Well, the pellet hasn't even got out the barrel yet. So if you try to hold it tight, you just pulling it off every time because you can't hold it in the same position every time. So that's why you want to try to let the rifle do the work. So that helped me get more accurate with it. And one thing that helped a great deal is up under here, you have a screw to set your trigger pull. And to start with, I got more accurate holding it with the artillery hole. But I adjusted up under here, and I kept loosening off and trying it with the loosening that screw up under there. I'm not sure if you can see it, but there's a screw up under it there that you can loosen and set your trigger pull. I loosened off on the trigger pull till it got to where it wasn't so hard to pull, but still yet enough it was safe, you know, to be able to rest your finger on it. And that allowed me to get even more close with the accuracy of it. Then these are some old pellets I had. These are the wad cutters. And the wad cutters, they shoot a pretty good grouping, but they're not no real effective pellet or anything. Now these copper pellets here, they they just wouldn't shoot anywhere accurate. But I went through all these different pellets trying. Now when I got down to the red fire, it likes the red fire. So the red fire shot pretty good, pretty decent. These gamo magnums shot pretty decent. But this seems to be the one that my rifle prefers, is the gamo hunter. Now these are the ones that hold that dime grouping pretty much 4 out of 5 shots, because you have a flyer every so often. But these are the ones that my rifle seems to prefer. But you just have to keep trying and go through different pellets, because not all rifles like the same pellet, but that's just the one that mine prefers right now. And I don't know, it may change later, but this is the one that works best in mine. But any one of these three shoot a pretty good grouping with. The hollow point seems to work pretty good, but they're kind of a heavy pellet, that 7.9, but still, yeah. But I'm gonna try shoot a little low on the chin for a little bit and see what I can do. But I was wanting to show you a little something. This is at 20 yards, and this board ain't the best board in the world I got it on. But anyhow, that's a little highness it's shooting. Now this is with the gamo, with the hunter. You see where it put these here, where the others, I think this is with the red fire. This is with one of the hollow points. And I'm not sure, I forgot which this is from, but what I want to show you, this is a 1/2 inch board that I've got here. Them pellets are penetrating the back of this board. With the wad cutters, they'll stop in that board. But some of them better pellets is going through that 1/2 inch board at 20 yards. These pellet guns are no toy. They got a little bit of power. But I'm gonna go ahead and shoot it one more time. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna aim low shoot about 3 inches up under and see if I can come close to target. Just bear with me for just a second. Okay, that was with the Gamo Hunter. Let's see where it put it. I shot about 3 inches below the target. Let's see if it come anywhere near the circle that time. Oh yeah. So it's still shooting true. It's just that, I don't know, I guess the difference in the winter time and the summertime, you'll have to reset and remake adjustments as to your height or whatever. But I heard some people say that every time they go out, they reset theirs before they go hunting, if they hunting squirrel or anything. But anyhow, that's just a little difference I noticed in it. But as I learn more things on it, then I'll let you know. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed and hope it was a little bit of useful information.